Imagine finally saving your first $1,000 and watching life eat it in one weekend. A tire blows, the power bill spikes, your hours get cut, and suddenly that money you spent months building disappears like it was never yours. That is why words like savings account, high-yield savings account, APY, compound interest, money market account, CD, and emergency fund actually matter. Not because finance people like fancy words, because one day those words decide whether you panic or sleep. Let's do this the way life does it, not in textbook order, in survival order. Emergency fund. This is the first savings term that matters, because it's the one you only respect after life punches you in the mouth. An emergency fund is not vacation money, not Christmas money, not I deserve this money. It is break up with your transmission money, root canal money, rent is due and my job just got weird money. People think saving is about discipline. Sometimes it is, but more often, saving is about reducing fear. Because when something goes wrong and you have nothing set aside, the problem doesn't stay the same size, it grows teeth. A $400 car repair becomes $400 on a credit card, then $520, then a month of stress. That's what people miss. Savings doesn't just pay for emergencies, it keeps emergencies from becoming debt.
Savings account. Now, once you decide to save, the most basic place people hear about is a savings account. A savings account is just a place to set money aside and earn interest. That sounds boring? Good. It's supposed to be boring. Your emergency money should not be exciting. Exciting is how people end up learning hard lessons from opportunities. Think of a regular savings account like a parking spot for your money. Not a race car, not a side hustle, just a safe place where your cash waits for you without being too easy to spend. That matters more than people admit, because money in your checking account feels available, and available money has a strange habit of becoming food delivery, random Amazon packages, and it was on sale decisions by midnight.
High-yield savings account. Now here's where people start hearing a term that sounds smarter than it is. High-yield savings account. A high-yield savings account is basically the regular savings account's more useful cousin. Same general job, hold your money, pay you interest, but usually with a better rate, which means your money grows faster while it sits there. That may not sound dramatic, but over time, the difference between your money sitting in a lazy account and a better paying account is the difference between your savings getting older and your savings actually getting stronger. Same money, same you, different outcome. That's one of the sneakiest truths in personal finance. You don't always need to earn more. Sometimes you just need your money to stop sleeping on the job. APY. And if you've ever looked at a bank website and seen APY everywhere, here's what it actually means. APY stands for Annual Percentage Yield, which is the bank's way of telling you how much interest you can earn in a year, including the effect of compounding. In normal human language, it's the scoreboard. Not just the base rate, the fuller picture of what your money can earn over time. That matters because banks love numbers, but not all numbers tell the truth the same way. APY is one of the few that helps you compare accounts without getting charmed by marketing language and smiling stock photos of people holding coffee. If one account is paying more APY than another, your money has a better chance of growing there. So if interest is the engine, APY is the speedometer.
Compound interest. And this is the term that quietly changes lives. Compound interest is interest earning interest. That's it. That's the whole trick. But it's a dangerous trick because it works for both sides. If you owe money, compound interest can turn a small mistake into a long apology. But if you're saving, compound interest is your money learning how to make copies of itself without asking your permission. At first, it feels unimpressive, almost insulting. You check your account after a month and think, that's it? But then, time enters the chat. That is the part nobody respects when they're young and everybody worships when they're older. Time. Because the real flex isn't making one giant deposit, it's letting small deposits sit still long enough to become a different kind of money. Calmer money, older money, money that has had time to multiply.
Liquidity. Now let's talk about a word that sounds corporate but is actually deeply personal. Liquidity. Liquidity just means how easy it is to access your money. And this matters because there is a big difference between having money and being able to use money. If all your cash is tied up somewhere hard to reach, then during a crisis you are technically okay, but emotionally still losing your mind. That's why emergency savings should usually be liquid. You want it available, not trapped behind paperwork, penalties, or delays while your landlord waits exactly 0 seconds. So ask yourself this: if life went wrong tonight, how fast could I touch my money? That's liquidity. Not sexy, very important. Minimum balance and fees. Now here comes the part people hate. Some accounts come with minimum balance requirements or fees, which is a polished way of saying if your balance drops too low, we may charge you for already not having enough money. Beautiful system. This is why reading the boring fine print matters, because an account can look helpful until it starts nibbling at your savings from the edges. A monthly fee here, a low balance fee there, too many transfers, too many withdrawals. Suddenly, your account is acting like a needy roommate. And this is where people get discouraged. Not because saving is impossible, but because the system often rewards people who already have cushions and punishes people trying to build one. So if you're choosing where to save, don't just ask, how much can I earn? Ask, what can this account quietly cost me if life gets messy?
Money market account. A money market account sounds like something rich people whisper about at golf courses, but it's simpler than that. It's a deposit account that often pays more than a regular savings account, may require a higher minimum balance, and usually limits some types of transactions. Think of it as a savings account with a stricter personality. It can be great for someone who wants to earn a little more, keep money fairly safe, and still have access. But it's not the same as a money market mutual fund, which is an investment and a completely different beast. This is where a lot of people get lost. Same sounding names, very different risk. So when you hear money market, don't hear sophistication. Hear one question: is this bank savings I can access, or is this an investment pretending to sound harmless?
CD. Now let's talk about the term that sounds old school, because it is. CD, Certificate of Deposit. A CD is basically a deal between you and the bank. You agree to leave your money alone for a set amount of time, and in return, the bank usually gives you a better rate than a normal savings account. That's the trade. You give up flexibility, you get rewarded with a higher return. So a CD is not for a just in case I need this next Tuesday money. It's for money you can afford to let sit. Maybe part of your savings, not the entire safety net. Because the second you lock up money you might need tomorrow, peace turns back into panic wearing a suit. Maturity and early withdrawal penalty. And if you're going to understand CDs, you need 2 more terms. Maturity is the finish line, the date your CD term ends and your money is free again. Early withdrawal penalty is the price you pay for breaking the deal early. That's why CDs can feel smart and stupid at the same time. Smart when you truly don't need the money. Stupid when life happens in the middle of the term and now your own savings comes with a punishment fee. This is why people build layers. Liquid money for emergencies, locked money for patience, different jobs for different dollars. That's real saving. Not one account doing everything badly, but multiple buckets doing one job well. Automatic transfers and pay yourself first. Now, if saving always depended on motivation, almost nobody would do it consistently. Because motivation is a morning person. Real life is not. So this is where automatic transfers come in. You set money to move from checking to savings without asking yourself every week if you feel like being responsible. You remove emotion from the process. That is huge,
Because most people do not have a saving problem. They have a decision fatigue problem. Every payday becomes a debate. Save some, spend some, wait until next month. Then next month shows up dressed exactly like the last one. Automation kills that conversation. And pay yourself first means exactly what it sounds like. Before the world gets your money, you send some to your future self. Not because you're rich, because your future self is tired of being abandoned.
Sinking fund. This one might be the most underrated savings term of all. A sinking fund is money you save for an expense you know is coming. Car insurance, Christmas, school shopping, a wedding, a trip home, new tires. These are not emergencies. They are predictable pain. And yet, people act shocked every time they arrive. That's why sinking funds are powerful. They turn "how did this happen" into "I already planned for this." That emotional shift is everything, because financial peace is not having infinite money. It's reducing the number of surprises that get to control your mood.
FDIC insurance. Last one. And this one matters because trust matters. FDIC insurance is what protects eligible deposits at insured banks up to certain limits if the bank fails. In plain English, if your money is in the right kind of bank account at the right kind of institution, there is a federal safety net behind it. That does not mean every financial app, every account, or every shiny product is equally protected. It means you should know where your money is actually sitting and whether it's protected before you call it safe. Because safety is not a vibe. Safety is specific. And when it comes to savings, specific beats hopeful every single time. So if you strip all of this down, here's what saving really is. An emergency fund is peace for chaos. A savings account is separation. A high-yield savings account is separation that works harder. APY is the scoreboard. Compound interest is time becoming visible. Liquidity is access. A money market account is a stricter savings option. A CD is a promise. Maturity is the release date. An early withdrawal penalty is the cost of changing your mind. Automatic transfers are discipline without drama. A sinking fund is planned relief. And FDIC insurance is trust with paperwork behind it. Savings is not just money sitting still. It is stress handled early. It is freedom bought in pieces. It is the quietest way to take power back from the next bad day. And the crazy part? For most people, the difference between constantly feeling behind and finally feeling in control is not some genius investment move. It's learning these boring little words before life forces you to.